Well, good evening, everyone. Welcome to our Tuesday sessions. Today we're covering ontology and ontological issues in research. We just want to talk about why is ontology important and how does it fit into your research project. And I want to start by just explaining to you a metaphor that we're going to use to make this work more accessible. You are a gardener. You and I are scholars, and you're a gardener, and you have a variety of seeds in your hands. And as a gardener, you want to sow these seeds. Seeds are your business ideas. And you're going to sow these seeds on a fertile ground. And that ground is the literature review or theories that exist or that don't exist, or that are sort of relevant to the kind of seeds that you want to sow, that will nurture the seeds that you want to sow. And as a researcher, you are interested in the yield, that is now the fruit of your creation, that is now knowledge. Original contribution to knowledge would be the fruit of your yield. So if we start from that perspective, the question is, as a gardener, what is your ontological position? For example, before we embrace the technical terms, I just want to check with you in your understanding as a gardener. Do you believe you are responsible for the yield that will come out of your garden? Or do you think that you are co-creating this fruit, this original knowledge, this yield, together with the cosmos, with the sun, the energy from the sun, the energy from the moon, the energy from the air, the energy from the soil, the energy from the seed, because it is your ontological position that will allow you to have a voice about how you have created this knowledge. And that is why it is important to have this ontological view. So, what is it in simple terms? Ontology is really a theory of the nature of reality. When you are looking at your garden, what do you see? Do you just see soil and the different components of your garden in a compartment, or do you see these as a cosmic unity? And I'll be talking about Sheikh Anta Diop, who really viewed reality as a cosmic unity. It's quite an attractive way of looking, not attractive, even logical way of looking at reality. But the thing about ontology is that you are the one who's going to make that decision. This is one area, not even your supervisor can help you. You have to make up your mind what is reality to you. And there's no right and wrong answers. I even think it's a journey. Students normally ask me, can you change your ontological perspective? If it's well thought through, it shouldn't change. You should be able to have one ontological view and many pieces of work because you've got one truth. But there's nothing wrong with your truth and your ontological view evolving, expanding, sometimes even changing because your values have completely changed. So it is a study of being. Now, that's another term altogether. What is being? Being could be God to you, could be what you call your creator. Being could be what you view as the eternal force that has been, that was, that existed before time, that doesn't have a source, that doesn't have a beginning, that doesn't have an end. It could be that presence. The question is, where is that presence in your view? Is it somewhere outside of yourself, or is it somewhere located in every part of you? Is it in the church? Is it somewhere in heaven? Where is that being to you? And those are your own personal questions that will determine what your ontological position is and how you view reality. How you view reality, again, is important because you are going to be creating knowledge out of the reality, out of the social actions of people in your reality or in your understanding of reality. So, ontology refers to what sort of things exist in the social world and what assumptions are there about the form and nature of that social reality. Now, for us to understand it, let us look at different ontological positions. I'm not going to spend too much time on realism, except to say that realism claims that there is an external reality independent of what people may think or understand it to be. So you might have your own views of what the reality is. So realism is saying it is actually far beyond your own conceptions, your own perceptions. Idealism says something completely different. It actually says reality can only be understood via the human mind. But then materialism says, in fact, if you can't access it with your hands, with your touch, with your eyes, with the sound, and feel it, it's not real. Reality can only be viewed through the five senses. The interesting one is essentialism. Essentialism says, okay, yes, you must be able to access it through the five sensory modalities, but it must be measurable, it must be quantifiable. Even if it's a social phenomenon, such as corporate governance failure, can you quantify this failure? If you talk about organizational performance, can you quantify this performance? So that's what essentialism is all about. And it was propounded by Aristotle around 350 century before Christ. I mentioned earlier, Sheikh Anta Diop views the cosmic world and his ontological position is that of cosmic unity, which entails a connection between God and all forms of life, those that exist and those that have departed, the connection between the ancestors, the living, the animals, the stones, the crystals, the plants, and everything that has been created, that was and that will be. And that's how Sheikh Anta Diop views the world. And then we have Ubuntu. Ubuntu says every facet of African life, in fact, it doesn't have to be African life. Every facet of life is shaped to embrace this concept of Ubuntu as a process, and it is a philosophy which reflects the heritage, the traditions, the culture, the customs, and beliefs of humans. Now, Steve Biko had a strong ontological view, and his ontological position was Black consciousness, being conscious of your own Blackness and embracing it, and actually infusing spirituality in your Blackness. And he even said that society seems to be very concerned with perfecting their technological know-how while losing out on their spiritual dimension. And he believes that in the long run, the special contribution to the world by Africa will be in the field of human relationships. And maybe this subject, he was ahead of his time, because we are now talking about a fourth industrial revolution. We're talking about artificial intelligence and machine learning. And Steve Biko is saying, whatever we think about, we mustn't forget the field of human relationship, because the great powers of the world may have done well in the areas of technology, but you have not done well in the areas of humanness, humanity. spirituality. Afrocentrism is another African worldview that is attributed to Asante Kente, which means placing African culture at the center of any analysis that involves studying African people. Biko also embraced Afrocentricism. And we would recall that Biko was his ideology, his Black consciousness ontological position was shaped by scholars such as Marcus Garvey, Malcolm X, Sheikh Anta Diop. And Afrocentrism and Black consciousness and cosmic unity. I mean, if you look at those philosophical paradigms and those ontological positions, there's a whole lot of similarities. Now, the question you have is, what does it all have to do with research? As I said earlier, as a researcher, you are a gardener in your garden. Your garden is about planting seeds. It is about nurturing that seed and seeing that seed through seasons, through time, until you have a harvest, a yield. And your ontological position is actually in every aspect of that journey. It is even in the choice of seed, because your business idea must speak to you. It must speak to your soul. It must speak to your belief systems. It must speak to your passion. And that is the quality of your seed. And the soil that you choose, that is the literature where you choose to embed your seed in, is also your choice. You are going to decide which literature, which soil to embed your seed in. You will also decide when to plant this seed. You will decide how long it will take to nurture this seed. And I'm going to cover that in the next couple of sessions, because how long and how you're going to create this knowledge is going to depend on your research paradigms. And the research paradigms are shaped by your ontological views. So your ontology helps you to make a determination of what research paradigm you should take on for researching your idea. Now, that's a new concept, isn't it? I'm introducing now another concept called research paradigm. What is a research paradigm? A research paradigm is an approach that considers your view, your epistemology, and your methodology. I've already explained your ontology. Epistemology, I'm going to spend more time in the next session, but just for today, epistemology is how you know what you know. Is also a philosophical approach to say, how do you know that this is knowledge? From what epistemological perspective are you creating this knowledge? Are you creating this knowledge from a positivist point of view? Positivism goes with essentialism. Positivism is about testing something that already exists, a theory that exists. Positivism is actually almost parallel to cosmic unity, because maybe to Afrocentrism, because Afrocentrism says it has to be contextualized within the understanding of the African culture, the history of the African people. So you cannot go and test a theory just because it is established theory. You've got to try and understand the concept within the context of African culture and the history of the people that you're looking at. Then you choose a methodology to create that knowledge. But that's not what we're going to talk about. For now, we're just happy to know that there are different ontological positions. Ontology looks at how we understand reality. And as a gardener, we need to understand how we are going to engage with the seed, with the soil, and whether we are co-creators which means you are embracing Anto Diop's cosmic unity if you believe that you are co-creating this seed, your yield with the rest of the elements, such as the moon, the sun energy, the energy from water, the energy from the soil. And I hope you've enjoyed ontology, and I'm hoping that from this brief discussion, you sort of have an idea of what ontological positions you want to take for your study. And I'm hoping that I have ignited that part of you that is curious to really know thyself, because ontology is about knowing yourself. It's really quite important to understand who you are before you can understand the views of others. It's really about your own self-mastery so that you locate your work within your own ontological positions. For questions, feel free to and comments. You're free to post those, but just remember that these sessions, I won't be able to unpack individual questions. I am basically taking all the questions that you're asking to customize my topics to address those questions, because I won't be able to address your questions on a one-on-one basis. Enjoy. Till next time. Cheerio. Bye.